Okay, folks, please settle down. These are only 10 minutes late.
Stop giving out, would you?
Okay, so what we're going to do now, right, and I want you to remember this, and I've just termed this, there's no ATF, which is Advanced True Forgiveness, and there's no Complete Forgiveness, and they're on my website if you just wanted to check them out. But I just coined this, right, as simple forgiveness, because you can get sometimes too technical with all of this, so it's important that you just bring this really down, and you'll understand, because there's no ATF and Complete Forgiveness, what this is really all about. So basically it's this, is you recognize your projections. So when you see bad behavior in someone, you recognize that this has to be coming from my projection. Okay? So when I'm sitting here and I'm recognizing now that I'm seeing my own ego. There's only one ego, and if you see it, you've got it, it's yours. Yeah? So,
sorry to interrupt you. A stupid question. If I see, say, an ISIL guy beheading somebody and I say that's terrible bad behaviour, is that an extreme example, or?
If you react to it, it's a part of you. Do you believe that we're all one mind?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Well,
that's something that you...
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's something, you know, that the course, the central theme in the course, that we're all one. And we're all coming from the one mind. So everybody outside you is coming a projection of a part of that one mind. So it's what you react to that needs to be healed, because that's the part of your mind that's projecting that out. Now the way this works is, there's a lot about ourselves that we don't like. There's a lot about ourselves that we hate. We have these murderous thoughts. We have all kinds of thoughts within us. And these thoughts are projected out into form. And now these thoughts take form in other people. Okay? And this is always the part of ourselves that we're trying to get rid of. Remember, the separated self has two parts. Do you know what it is? You have the persona, which is the personality, the public image. It's the personality we put on that we present to the public to get people to like us. But then we have what Carl Jung termed was the shadow. Okay? And that's the part of ourselves that we don't like. So we hide it, we keep it away. We put on our best face out in the public, and we hide this within ourselves. The problem is, when you hide it and deny this, you're projecting this out, and you are going to see it in other people. Now, this is the key part of all of this that Cora was asking. It's only what you react to that you need to heal. Okay? It's only what you react to. There'll be a lot that you see in the world that you won't react to. There'll be a lot you see in the news. Now, one person could react to something and you don't react to it. Another person will react to something else, or you might react to something else. So what that's really telling you here, right, is that we're all here on our individual experiences to heal different parts of our minds.
One more question?
Yeah.
Just on that, right? Starvation. Irish people are very good at reacting. A lot of other countries, I know, people don't react to mean nothing to them. So we react when we see children starving, and we put our hands in our pockets. Am I on the wrong track there?
Completely. Because what you're really saying is now that you know everything that's going on in the world.
No.
This is what Jesus says. To judge anybody or anything, you would need to know every past life, every future life of everybody in every lifetime. So that means, all right, that there's an awful lot of knowledge there that someone knows, and it's not us. We only see little parts of that, and that's the part that we're looking at is always through the ego. So you're looking at false perception through the ego's perception. Okay?
Very last question, I'll shut up now. Right? But are we better off then in that case not reacting?
You see, there's no way in this. If you're doing A Course in Miracles, it's always about you. It's about what I see. Don't bring in the witnesses. Don't, because that's what the ego does. Jesus says, you know, the ego will always seek for witnesses. So if you have a problem with somebody, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to seek someone else who has the same problem with this person. So it gives you comfort now knowing that you're not alone in this, that somebody else is validating this, that you're right. That's always the ego. Okay? So that's basically what the trap that you're falling into there, Brian. You're kind of looking at this and you're saying, well, this is what other people say and this is what other people do. You know, and this is what I think, so I'm right, because this is what everybody thinks. Isn't that right? So really what this is all about, if we're one mind, we're always looking at everybody else from my perspective, from your perspective. Whoever is doing this work, it's always from that perspective. Everything else outside of me and everybody in this room is coming from my mind, from my projection. The same for you, Brian. Everybody in this room, including me, is in your mind. If we're all one mind, then we're all parts of the same mind. Isn't that right? Yeah. So, the way this step works, and I think Eileen was asking the case, when you bring back in your projections. So when I'm looking at the ego now, and this is the last thing the ego wants you to do. The ego wants you to say, that's a bad person, have nothing to do with me. Okay? And that's basically what that photograph and that symbol on Facebook was all about. You accept other people, just leave them alone, they're a bad person, they're nothing to do with me. But the Course is saying what's in that person, because you have seen it, you've reacted to it, is also in me. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm no longer the ego. Okay? Because this is the last thing the ego wants you to do. So now I'm standing with God, I'm standing with Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the higher power, whatever somebody you want to put on it. So that means now there's a light inside me. So when we bring back our projections, the darkness that we're trying to get rid of, that's what projection is, we're bringing that light inside that darkness inside. And when you bring the darkness inside to the light, what happens to darkness? It dissolves. It's like this room's dark, you put on a light, darkness is gone. So that's about choosing to bring it back inside, you take responsibility. And then you hand over, and what are you handing over? Belief. That's all you're handing over. Okay? Your belief. Your belief. Because there is no guilt at the end of the day. Okay? So this moves us on now, because this is what we're going to be using in our relationships. Alright? And I'm going to go through the basic fundamental.
There's no essential difference between ATF, complete forgiveness, and
No.
three different ways of the same thing.
Yeah. ATF just gives you a deeper understanding of the whole thing. So now it brings us to love. Is
Sorry,
true.
can I ask a question? Myself and Maureen were just talking there back up, and just as we were talking about a few minutes ago about what I will perceive one thing and somebody else will perceive something else with regard to judgments. So if I'm, say, continually saying something like somebody making racist remarks and I get upset about this, does that mean that I'm racist? For instance.
That racism is only a thought at the end of the day. Okay? And it's a thought. If you see it, then it's a thought that's within you. Because you're reacting to it. Okay?
So
and
if I see somebody else making a racist remark or doing something racist or something else against somebody and it upsets me, that means that I have a tendency to do the same thing.
Well, the first thing that you should be recognizing, okay? Remember, recognize. You have to be recognizing that I'm looking at this with my ego.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that this should be telling you. Once you react to anything that you see in anybody else, the first thing you should be doing, I'm looking at this through false perception, as Marie has done. So I'm looking at this through the judgmental mind, because that's what the ego is. It's a thought of judgment. So all of those things comes into play.
So as long as I'm doing that, as long as I'm looking at something with the ego, I have no idea whether I should be doing something or not.
We're going to do judgment after we do this, and
Okay.
that will come back to that. Okay. So
But
what
I have no perception of the appropriate thing to do in any situation if I'm looking at it with the ego.
Yes, exactly. That's like what Marie had said about what Einstein said. You're trying to solve the problem when the problem was created. So you're trying to solve the problem with the ego within the ego thought system, and the ego just loves it. Okay. So what I want to talk about now, right, is true love possible in this world? Anybody?
Yes.
How?
So you're right mind.
No, without when you become without judgment.
Yes. On level 3. Okay? It's because love is the absence of judgment. Okay? So I'm going to, when we get to judgments, I'm going to really show that to you how that works. Alright? So this is what we do with love. Alright? We break it all down into like a Rubik's Cube, and we have all different levels of love, quantities of love, and we have a different value on different loves. So we have a value of love on our parents, and that love could be love-hate. Then we have on our lovers or partners, and again, that love could be love-hate. We'll love them as long as they fulfill our needs, and we'll hate them when they don't. Okay? Then we have different love for our family. Same rule applies again, okay? We'll love them provided that they really love us back the way that we set it up to be loved. And then we have our friends, okay? So is this love?
No.
So why do we treat it as such? Why are we so attached to it?
Conditioning?
Conditioned by who?
Society. The ego, mind, the ego.
Yes. This is the way the ego has the whole thought system of love set up. The ego has no idea what true love is. Absolutely no idea what true love is. So when God loves us, how does God love us? So that's what God's really, and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and everybody else is saying, what true love is, it's unconditional love. It's the absence of judgment. All right. And then within this love, it's broken down to another 4 parts, where we have demands, expectations, needs, and desires. So remember the workshop that I did? All right? This was the workshop I did on it. So do you love someone, Erin?
Yeah.
Have you any demands on them?
Yeah.
Have you expectations? Needs?
Yeah.
Desires?
Yeah.
Liz?
Yes.
Brian?
No one in particular. Not one in particular.
Not one particular love.
No, no one in particular person.
Right? So you don't have any demands, expectations, needs, and desires on anybody. You will always get caught out here. I'll tell you that much. All right. So you see, what we're doing is, what you tried to do again was break it down again. Do you know what I mean? Like that, not one particular person. And that's what the ego does. The ego is always going to jump around, and as long as the ego's jumping around, you're jumping around along with the ego. All right? Because you're always rationalizing. And there's another line in the course that says there's no hierarchy of illusions. Okay? So that means there's no greater love and there's no lesser love in the right mind or in the one mind, but the ego is saying there's all different types of loves. Okay, so I'm going to ask Elise to come up and join me here for a second, all right, because we're going to go through a few dynamics, all right, in the relationships. Okay, so if you just stand here, okay. Now, what the first thing we're going to do is, let's say that me and Elise is in a love relationship. Okay, from the perspective of A Course in Miracles, what does that really mean? Anybody? What is the purpose now? I'm talking about people, let's say neither of us are doing A Course in Miracles. Okay, what our relationship is going to be based on is going to be demands, expectations, needs, and desires. So I'm going to fulfill all of your demands, expectations, needs, and desires, provided that you do with mine. Do the same with me. And the way this works, when we meet first, we're going to be so madly, passionately in love. Why is that? Why is that first 3 to 6 months? Wow. And then it goes downhill after that. Why?
Is that leveling up the persona?
Yes. The persona is at full play here, and my shadow, I am going to do everything I possibly can not to let Elise see it. I don't want to let her see anything dark about me. I'm putting on my best face first.
Perfect.
Now, and Elise is going to be doing the same, whether she's aware of it or not. We're not conscious of this. This is unconscious thoughts. Isn't this the way it works? Okay, but
There
then...
you're wearing your best after shave and you're doing your nails.
Right, okay. So what happens then, as more time, it costs immense energy to do this. It costs immense energy to really put on this false image that we have of ourselves. And sooner or later, all right, this image is going to fall here, and I see her image falling, my image is going to fall, and I'm going to act, you know, look what you're doing, and she's going to be looking at me. Now, this could take place only in thoughts at the beginning. So what's going to happen from then on, there's going to be an account kept. So every time that she sees me doing something that she doesn't approve of, okay, she's going to have a little record of it. And I'm going to be doing the same. And then there's going to be that very first big blowout. And then everything that's held in the account or the bank, all right, I'm going to let rip and tell her how bad she is, and she's going to do the same with me. You know, this is what you do, and that's what you do, and this is the way it works. We've all experienced this. Yeah, maybe we're still all experiencing it at some level. All right, so that's what it is to be in an unconscious relationship. Okay, and the more unconscious you are, then the worse it's going to be, eventually. Now, the other dynamic that happens in these relationships, we're either playing God or the Son, because that's the only relationship that there truly is. There's no other relationships. Our only relationship that we have is with God. Okay? But the problem is that some of us believe that we are God. Alright? So in the relationship, one person, maybe you have the God complex and I have the God complex, and that's what our shadows are. So the two of us now will come into this relationship and we'll be trying to dominate to see who's going to be the boss, who's in charge, who's in control. Right? We've all experienced this. Yeah? So when you have two God complexes coming together in a relationship, then you're going to have sparks sooner or later. Alright? Now, it'll work perfectly if there's a God and a son, or if there's two sons. Alright? But one relationship that doesn't work very well is two people who want to play God. Because to be God, you have to be God over somebody. Yeah? So these are the dynamics that goes on in relationships in the unconscious world. So everybody in this room have all decided we're going to do a Course in Miracles. Now that means there's a different purpose now set for the relationship. Yeah? And the purpose that we set for the relationship now is what?
Holy relationship.
Healing. That's right?
Yeah.
So let's look at the dynamics of this first. Right. What I have to do is I have to look and be aware of my demands, my expectations, my needs, and my desires. Now, Eilish, let's say, is not doing any spirituality, it's only me. Alright? Because we're always coming from your own perspective. Yeah? So I'm not going to turn around and make a contract now with Eilish. I'm not going to have any demands or needs or because what I'm really saying is, I'm going to do this, but I want you to do it too. Now that defeats the whole purpose in this. A lot of people doing the course, they project out and they want their partner to become more spiritual. Alright? What they're really saying is, I'm not prepared to drop my specialness, my demands, my needs, and my expectations. Okay? So you don't say anything to the other person, you quietly do this. So from the love aspect of it, alright, this is what I need to concentrate on first. Alright? This area of it here. This should be primary now. Now it doesn't matter if Eilish and me are lovers, whether she's my parents, my children, my family, or my friends. Okay? This applies. Remember, there's no hierarchy of illusions and there's no levels of love. Yeah? So it really doesn't matter if we're in a relationship or not on that personal basis. If Eilish was my sister or my daughter or whatever it was going to be, the same rules apply. So what is it now that we do? We must first, the 3 steps, we must recognize our demands. Okay? In our mind, we'll recognize that I'm demanding this of this person. We must then, step 2, choose to correct that. And we must, through step 3, we hand over that demand in our mind. And we say, no. Because if I'm doing this, I'm doing with the ego. Okay? We get that? Alright? Now, the second thing. We do the same with our expectations. Now, expectations are the biggest trap of all. Because you're really enslaving the other person. Do you want to open that wee window there? And Rhonda, that little window behind you there is getting a bit warm in here. I don't know if it's me, standing beside Eilish. Or what? Or we're talking about love. Okay? So we do this with all 4. Do you know, we quietly observe our mind. Okay? And we look at our thinking. Because this is all to do with thinking. It's not about the words that we say or behavior. We're correcting our perception, as Marie was talking about earlier on. So now, because it's love, this is automatically going to be in play. And it doesn't matter whether parents, lovers, family, children, or friends. That doesn't come in. We treat all of these now as one. Because that's what the holy relationship is. You can't have a holy relationship with your lover and a special relationship with your parents. It's either total, complete, or it's not. Okay?
Sorry, Michael, demands, expectation, needs, desires, are they not all the same thing?
Well, they're different levels. They are all the same thing. It's kind of specialness. I want something from you. So-
Demand is an expectation, it is a need.
Of
They're
course.
different words.
Yeah, but you can have a demand. I demand that you do this, or then you can sit back and you can go, you know, I've done this for her,
Okay.
and I'm kind of
Different
quietly
levels of
expecting now for this to be returned. You know, so let's say it's my birthday coming up, and Elise forgets it, and I have been expecting something really great, and I get none. Okay, it's a trap. These are all traps, because now they justify my projection onto her. That's what the whole setup is in all of these. All right. So imagine if you have one of your family members or someone who forgets your birthday, forgets your Christmas card or something. Maybe it's your sister. She calls around the end for a cup of tea. You're going to make damn sure that she realizes that she forgot something very important in your life. Okay. You could have a big face on you. You could say something. You could do something. Whatever. One thing that you're not doing is you're not practicing forgiveness. Okay, you're not seeing the truth. When you waken up in the right mind, you're going to see the truth in every situation. So, what I see in Elish is, Elish now is giving me the miracle. Okay, she forgets to do something for me. I say, you don't love me. The opposite is the truth. She is showing me a part of my mind that I need to heal. And I thank her for this gift. I recognize the gift. I choose to correct this in myself, I bring it inside, and I hand it over. This is the true purpose of all relationships for those people who have decided to do A Course in Miracles to waken up. Okay?
You thank her in your own mind, you don't
Of course.
thank her to her.
No,
Because
because-
she doesn't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And then she may, and she's going to, you know, I could make her feel guilty because
Yeah, yeah,
she'll
yeah.
realize, oh, I forgot
Yeah,
your birthday.
yeah.
So you never project your guilt onto someone. You never make anybody else guilty of anything over forgetting something about yourself. Okay?
You probably think you've got to do a lot of thinking like that.
Of course.
Because she's not on your level.
Of course.
So how, will your relationship with her work?
Of course it
But
will.
will she not feel rejected if you're treating her parents and her family and her friends
This is done in the
same way
mind.
that-
This is done in the mind. Actually, she's going to see, she is going to make mistakes. And she'll go, oh, I forgot his birthday. And she's going to realize, well,
She's going to say her perception now.
yeah, I'm going to be the demonstration for her that there's another way, not by words, but by my behavior, because I'm in the right mind now. I'm in peace no matter what Elise decides to do or not do or remember or not remember. And she's going to see the peace in me, that I haven't lost my peace, and she's going to be, what are you doing? You know, what's this Course in Miracles? And a lot of people have come to the Course through that way. Isn't this true? Okay, so we teach the Course through demonstration, not by telling. The one other aspect that I would never do in this, right, is I would never ever point out the mistakes in Elish. Why? Because they're mine. She's the mirror, she's the reflection of everything in me. If I react to it, if I react to something that she does or doesn't do, then I recognize straight away, this is a part of my mind. Because if we're one mind, okay? Jesus says in the Course, okay, minds are joined, bodies are not. So this is a part of my mind that I need to heal. And in my mind, I give the gratitude to Elish for this. So the way Jesus puts this in the Course, Elish is presenting me with the gift of lilies. Okay, it's the gift of healing. Yeah. So another aspect, or another trap that people fall into, especially when you're doing A Course in Miracles, is you want to fix this other person. All right, I know exactly, I can see the mistakes you're making, and I know exactly you need to do complete forgiveness. What's wrong with that?
It's you that pays the connection.
Yeah. Do you know? You see, the whole point of the relationship is, remember the script that's been written? It's Elish that's teaching me. It's her that's fixing me, not the other way about. The ego never wants you fixed within, so it'll always project that out, and you say, and we'll seem so, you'll rationalize it. You know, I'm such a good person because I'm going to help this person, I'm going to fix this person.
So do you not have more love for Elish, more than the woman next door, to be able to have a physical attraction to her and with her? Do you know, do you not? You're saying your love is the same for everybody.
No, you're recognizing the purpose of the relationship. If you're doing A Course in Miracles, okay, you're not falling into the unconscious mind now believing that I truly love Elish. which Jesus says is really the home of guilt. And that love will turn to hate when we start to see differences. When she doesn't fulfill my needs, when I have expectations and they're not fulfilled, is that love? No, it has actually always been hate. I'm only with Eilish so I can get what I want out of this. And Jesus calls that in the Course specialness. Okay, so you're not under the illusion anymore of love because you're sitting in this room and there's a guy standing up in front of you all dressed in black telling you about the 4 different levels of love. Wasn't that right?
Yeah.
So you can't turn around now and say you don't know. Yeah?
Yeah.
You see, what we're really doing here, right, is we're unattaching all our levels of love within our own mind. We're unattaching the differences. Okay? So here we go. First thing is, all the demands, needs, expectations, desires are recognized and healed. Because if Eilish is fulfilling all of that in me, I become dependent on her now for these things. So what happens when she leaves? I'm left and I feel very vulnerable, I feel very alone, I feel abandoned, I feel hurt, I feel all of these things because now I have nobody to give me all of these attachments anymore. So the first thing you do is get on the glad rags, hit the city and get somebody else to replace her. And that's the way it works. You know? And in the meantime, I'm going to make sure she knows about it so I can hurt her because she has hurt me. You know? And this is always hate. And this is where relationships always end up.
So
Do you know?
attachments.
Of course. So the first thing is you deal with this. The second thing then is, what did I say? Just to check if you're listening.
Choose.
Yes. And the third thing? Right. Okay. Remember those 3 steps. They apply in all of these things. And I never try to fix her. And I never tell her. Good try. Okay. I never try to fix her. Okay. And I never ever tell her exactly what I'm doing because that's a way of letting yourself off the hook in this. You keep this internal. You be a demonstration. Okay?
Don't tell her what you're doing. Oh, that's sneaky. Michael, you were
Right.
saying earlier the true purpose of the holy relationship is what?
Healing.
Sorry?
Healing.
Healing. That's
So,
what I call it.
let's move to the second one. Sickness. Let's say now, again, that I'm with Eilish and she's very sick. Now again, Eilish can be my parent, my brothers, my sisters, family, friends, or whatever. Okay, so how does this work? Again, what is healing in the relationship? This is based on healing. Alright, so the first thing I recognize is the sickness that I see in Eilish is the same sickness that's in me.
Is physical sickness or?
Yes. I can be physical, mental, you could be a nutcase. But I'm a nutcase too. If I see it, I've got it. But what we're doing also, we're denying our own sickness. We're denying our own ill health. And we're projecting that out and we're seeing it all around us. So remember, we're coming from the one mind. The sickness that you see in anybody is the exact same sickness that's in our own mind. I know that this is hard to believe for people. But in the Course it's called true empathy. What's false empathy is the sickness I see in you, I'm trying to help you to fix it. The way that I help you to fix it is I bring my projection off you, recognize that the sickness in you is in mine. I choose to correct that and I hand over the sickness. Not only am I healing you, I'm healing myself of the exact same sickness.
Somebody has cancer.
Same thing. Exact same procedures and everything. Cancer doesn't come from the body. Cancer comes from the mind. I told the last group in here, there was a specialist on the news before Christmas, and he says they recognise now that they can quantify 33% of cancer, but they said the other 66% is bad luck. You know, so what it really means is they're not looking at where the true cause of cancer starts. And all cancer is in the mind. If the mind is sick, the body will be sick. Okay, so that's where I work at. I don't work at the level of the sickness in the body. I'm not trying to heal Eilish's body because it's an effect. It's like if you keep getting a sore head every day, you'll go to the doctor and he'll give you tablets, he'll give you tablets, he'll give you tablets. He's healing the effects. He's not getting to the cause of why you have the sore head. Isn't this true? Okay, and all medical is the exact same. To deal with the body, the effects of the mind. The body is an effect of the mind. In the course it says the body doesn't feel anything, it doesn't see anything, it doesn't hear anything, it doesn't do anything, nothing. Everything is applied within the mind. So true healing in this relationship, and it doesn't matter what the dynamics of who Elish is, okay? It is the recognition that we are one. Sickness in her is sickness in me. And you heal the cause, not the effect. And you don't expect the body then to get better. Okay? We're here to heal our minds. We're not here to heal bodies. So that's the second. Any questions on that?
So you're only seeing fear.
Well,
You see
whatever,
sickness, you're seeing fear.
that's really all the same. Fear, sin, guilt, fear, they're all just different labels for the same. Yes, Liz.
Can I just ask, how do you heal the cause? Is that true?
Because that's the 3 steps. I recognize, because I see it, and I'm reacting to it in Elish. It has to be in me. What keeps the sickness in place is the distance between us. Remember what we don't like about ourselves, what we hate about ourselves, and that includes sickness. We project out. Okay? And when you keep your projections out there, that's the cause of all sickness. Remember the light that's inside you. The light heals everything. When I bring the sickness from Elish inside me, that sickness, the light shines that sickness away. That's the healing of the cause.
It's only in you.
And her.
Oh, and her.
And her. No one's healed alone, the Course says. No one's healed alone. So even in the dynamics of demands, expectations, needs and desires, the exact same thing. When I bring them back from her, I'm healing those in her, as well as healing them myself.
So do you actually say to yourself then, if somebody is sick, you know, I'm sick too?
No, you recognize that the same sickness is in you, is in me. And that recognition is even bringing back that projection with you recognizing what I see in you is in me. Because remember, everybody's a mirror. Everybody's a mirror for us. So we can't have a mirror some of the time. We can't have a mirror when it suits us.
I have a brother who's dying of cancer. I mean, is there anything I can do?
Of course, just you apply this every time you're with them. And even when you're not with them, you don't have to be
It
in
applies, sorry, what way is the fear? It applies in what way?
the 3 steps. You recognize the sickness is in him, is in you. Okay?
In me, in all his family members.
It doesn't matter. Don't look for witnesses. This is about you. Everybody, including your brother, is in your mind if we're all one mind. Okay? This works. This really, really does work. I have seen people applying this. Do you know? This is what true healing is. Cliff.
I had an example of it just recently. My
Yeah.
husband has been very, very ill, and I had a conversation with Michael about this and started applying, you know, the sickness I'm seeing in him is in my mind.
Yeah.
And that day he turned around and he started getting better.
Yes. And that's the
It
miracle.
was amazing.
Yes. That's the miracle. And that happens so quick for you.
Yeah.
And I could list off another 100, 200, 300 examples of the same thing. This is what healing is.
Were you also not saying there, Michael, that the physical sickness may not
It won't matter. But if you expect it to do, then you're blocking that healing. That's what the ego always tries to do with true healing. It'll put an expectation on it. Now you're sitting waiting for this body. Like Jesus says in the Course, you have just given the miracle, give the miracle time to work. And he also says in the psychotherapy, when you heal the cause, how can the shadow not be healed? So you give it time. Because the miracle works on the vertical, not the horizontal. Okay? Because the mind that's in Elish is the same mind as I am, and that's on the vertical, not between the 2 bodies, but between the 2 vertical states. So that means the healing has taken place at a level where she actually needs it. So the people in our lives, we have chosen them in our lives because they represent the parts of our minds that we need to heal within ourselves. It's not about us getting, our whole family to do a Course in Miracles. Don't do that. Because what you're really saying then is, you're not recognizing the truth of all of this. So it really doesn't matter. Do you want the mind healed or do you want the body healed? I had a lady contact me a couple of years ago. And she used to grow up and she used to say things like, I'd rather stick a needle in my eye. All right? Guess what happened? She had to go to the doctor every day for 3 years to get a needle in her eye because she was going to lose her eye. Because she made a deal, a contract with the ego. Remember, she put her trust in the ego. But also, I says to her, right, you can use this now to heal your mind. And she says, what about the body? And I says, right, let me put this to you. Do you want to go home to God, or do you want to stay here? If you want to put your trust into healing the body, you're coming back. If you want to use the body to heal your mind, you're going home. She says, no contest. She says, I'm going to use this now to heal my mind because I don't want to come back. So, you know, we're always choosing either heaven or hell. Okay? When you're choosing your mind to be healed, you're choosing heaven, you're choosing to go home. When you're choosing the body to be healed, you're choosing to come back. You're choosing, right, I want separation. I have my treasure. Jesus says, where you put your treasure, that's going to be your home. So if we put our treasures into the body, then we're choosing to come back here into the physical reality. Yeah? So this is the true meaning of healing in sickness. This is the true meaning of what relationships are for. Okay? It's not about now that I spend the rest of my life deep asleep in a relationship with Elish, because that you know, is going to be destructive for the both of us. You know. So let's look at the next one. Grief. Say death.
Just to back there, like people with hypochondria, you know, people who persistently have worries about health and issues and stuff like that. It's the same thing. It's just to recognise it for what it is. An illness of mind.
Yes.
Choose and hand over.
It's the same. If you see it in them and you're reacting to it, then it's, you've got it also.
Can I just ask there, when you're recognising it, you recognise it, and then choose, what do you choose though?
You're choosing now to bring this in and to heal it. You're recognising, first of all, your projection, that this is your projection. If you don't recognise that this is your projection, if you don't recognise the sickness that I see in someone else's in me, then bringing back your projection means nothing. You must own it first, and then pull it back inside. You choose to correct it. And everything you pull inside you, that's where the light inside is the true healing. And healing is of God in the end. Remember that line in the Course? Okay? And the light of God, the kingdom of heaven, is within us. God is within us. Not without us, within us. And that's where all healing takes place. And what is healing? Healing our projections. Where are our projections? In our families, in our friends, in our relationships. That is how simple this Course is.
There's no need to analyse.
No. No.
This comes from this. And
No, that's only the ego will complicate this whole system. Because the ego, the more complicated it is, it's the smoke and mirrors. Then you get lost in the analysis of the whole thing. And this is why we've broken down simple forgiveness just into these 3 steps, basic steps. I was doing meditations with Jesus over Christmas, and he said there are a lot of people stuck in this Course. They're all stuck in the ego right mind. And there are very few actually practicing forgiveness. And very few know the meaning. I had a Skype session with a lady in America. She's doing the Course 23 years. And she was telling me about forgiveness. And I said, tell me what you do with forgiveness. And I went, holy mother of God. 23 years doing the Course, and she didn't know what forgiveness is or what it was all about. So, you know, you can intellectualize this Course for the rest of your life and you'll not make one step forward. Okay? So that's, we're moving to, does that answer?
Yeah.
You know, no matter what, you remember just on this show, no matter what the there are no hierarchy of illusions. It could be a little sickness, it could be cancer. Don't rationalize. Okay? Because if you see it, you've got it. And it only takes a second to realize, that's me, that's me, that's me. Okay? So the next time now we'll move to grief, which is the death of a loved one. Again, it could be our parents, it could be someone very close to us, or whatever. So the dynamics in this now are very, very simple. Say, Elish, sorry to do this, right? I cut the head of you, accidentally. And then I'm distraught with grief now inside. Okay? So the first thing I have to recognize is what?
that's your own death.
No.
From God.
No.
That's your responsibility.
But I told her I'm sorry about it. What does she want, for God's sake? I could get sheltered. The first thing I recognize now is to remember complete forgiveness.
Yes.
First thing I recognize now is the grief has always been inside me. And Elish has very kindly shown me this grief. And what we're all grieving over here, right? is the death or the loss of God in our lives, the separation itself. It was the most painful, traumatic experience we ever went through. And this is why we were born and we come into the body, was to hide that pain. And that's what the shadow is. Okay? It's all the pain, all the grief, all the hate, all those, everything we hate about ourselves, because we do believe we have done something really terrible to God. Look at religion. Go into any church or anything and they'll remind you how sinful, how guilty you should feel because you ate an apple. Okay? So stay away from the markets and stay away from them apples. Alright? So what I do is, that, again, the simple 3 steps is here. I recognize the grief, okay, that I'm experiencing now has always been inside me. And now I bring that to the truth. Okay? And the truth is that I'm not grieving over the death of Elish, I'm grieving over the loss of God. Remember, this is to do with thoughts. It's to do with your thinking. And this is actually complete forgiveness. And it's one of the, if not the most powerful tool in A Course in Miracles. Okay? And we use this with all of our emotions inside.
Simply acknowledging it.
Yeah. We just bring it to the truth. What we're really doing is now we're not looking at the ego, because the ego is trying to convince me the way you feel now is over the death of your lover, your sister. My brother died 2 years ago. You know, I applied this immediately. I didn't feel any grief over this and I brought it to the truth. Okay? And I know someone, a couple of people over Christmas, very close people passed away in their families, and they used this. And within a day to 2 days, the grief had passed away. Okay, had moved away, it had evaporated. It's so powerful of this. You see, this is why people grieve all their lives, because if you rationalize the grief, and that rationalization is really saying, I know why I'm grieving, and it's because of the death of Elish. You keep it. Everything you rationalize, you keep it. Everything you bring to the truth, you release, you undo, you heal. Okay? So the last one then is the hate. Everything that I don't like in you. And we meet people straight away and we go, I don't really like that person. You know, I've heard it, especially within the spiritual community, I don't like that person's energy. Do you know? You know, they've got a bad energy, that person. So what are we really saying?
Recognize.
What we're really saying is, you know, that person has nothing to do with me. That's what we're really saying. Bad energy. And then we'll, you know,
Is
you
it
don't-
about hating yourself?
of course, that's what bad energy is. It's always self-hate. And we're projecting this self-hate out. And then we use this thing about energy. I can feel this person's energy. What we really have done, we have just stepped up and looked at our own shadow and been very close to our shadow. Remember, we're trying to get rid of our shadow all the time. The last thing we want is it to be very close to us.
So just a question, the shadow, the bad energy probably came from something a long time ago maybe, and we're trying to get rid of it at present.
It came from the belief in separation a long time ago.
Right, okay, but we're not going to suppose a psychologist or whatever and say, listen, this happened when I was 40, this happened when I was 80.
All rationalised.
We're trying to do it now by recognizing the...
Yeah. You see, we can go back and we can, all that is a trap to blame other people. We can blame our parents, you know, and this is, the ego always tries to find someone because we're perceiving ourselves to be victims. Okay, and the first thing when we're emotionally distraught or emotionally unstable or emotionally all over the shop, first thing we do is look for somebody to blame. We can blame the body, we can blame the genetics, we can blame our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, all of these kind of things, all forms of projection. Okay, so the hate that I see now, and we all love to hate people, isn't this right? Is there anybody in this room that doesn't hate somebody? You don't hate it. Do you love yourself? Huh?
Which is a strong word.
Do you love yourself? Completely? Well, you see, if you're not sure, what you're doing is you're denying.
I don't know if I hate another person.
No, but you see, you're denying it. Because you either, there's only two emotions. One is fear, which is another word for hate, and love. And you can only,
I don't love everyone,
but therefore you don't love yourself. You must become the love that you seek. What we do is we secretly hate ourselves, and then we're going out to find someone to love us. I mean, how can you expect someone else to love you when you don't even love yourself? Now, is that not a little bit hypocritical? Seriously?
Can I just ask a question? Just say take for a scenario, you know, you have somebody in front of you and they're screaming, roaring and shouting at you.
Yeah,
And that's the truth, that's what they're doing.
yeah,
And you realise that's what, you don't react to it,
yeah,
but you realise that's what they're doing. And they're actually giving a bad energy.
yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of the scenario
It's not.
of that. It's not.
Yeah. Who else screams, roars, shouts at you?
So,
Come on. Anybody?
Ego.
Look, in your mind. You have these thoughts battering you all the time. So you can't stand those. So what do? You deny them. You push them away down. And they will be projected out, and you will see other people doing this now. We all have this constant batterment of the ego thoughts going through our mind. 60,000 thoughts a minute goes through your mind. You know, and they're on a conveyor belt, and you're picking out certain ones. And there's a lot of them that you won't even look at. You deny those and you project them out. The same principle applies. If you react to this other person, then that's a part of you. The same thing's happening within you and you're denying it. Remember, projections work this way. What you deny, you will project. So, you know, it's not about, you know, the ego's first statement then is, oh, I would never do that. The reason why you would never do that is because you're denying that you would do that.
You've got somebody else to do it for you.
Exactly. And now you're blaming this other person and you'll kick them out of your life. You know, or you won't answer the phone, or you won't do this, or you won't do that. You know, this is the way it works.
This is all happening unconsciously.
Yes, yes. When you're waking up, you see, when you're unconscious, you see through one set of eyes only. When you're waking up, you start to see another set. You see right through the right mind, another perception. You see the truth and everything. And that's what I'm going through here, the truth of relationships at this level.
You've seen through both as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And you have that choice.
Yeah,
I'm choosing
recognise
all
that.
the time. You know, but I know that it's going to really cost me, you know, if I choose to see with the ego. I've had that experience. I've been down that road. So, you know, we'll all refer back to this reference. You know, we'll say, right, I've been there and done that, so no, I'm going to see the truth in this situation.
Say you have an argument with somebody and you say something and you get very annoyed, and then on the spur of the moment, you say to yourself, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's, you know, you feel that you're annoyed with yourself deep inside. You're annoyed you said that. So that's a natural progression, like going into recognizing what you did. All right. So say, same argument, and it takes you a good while to come along. It takes you, say, the next day to come along and recognize
Yes.
what you did. So is there a difference between the
No,
two?
no. The way this works is...
It comes from the
yes.
heart, the first one. The second one, oh, I have to think about it.
Yeah,
You know,
the way
short
this
speeches
is going to
always
work
does
is
it wrong.
it's baby steps at the beginning. Okay,
Yeah.
you're not going to do this in the same moment every time. It could be a day.
Yeah.
But what's going to bring you around to the truth of this is the way you feel. I did the radio interview here in Dublin last year, and a guy says to me, what do you want to talk about? And I said, let's talk about the two minds. I went, what? Two minds? So we started talking about the right mind, the wrong mind. He says, how do you know which mind you're in? And I says, that's the easy part. I says, your body will tell you. If you're angry, depressed, anxious, irritated, fearful, guilty, you're in the wrong mind. Judgmental. You know, you're in the wrong mind. So listen to your body. Your body will always tell you the mind that you're in. All you have to do then is the 3 steps. Recognize, okay, I'm in the wrong mind here. Choose to correct that and say, right, I'm willing now to look at this a different way. I'm willing to hand over everything that I see. And that, well, how I finished that interview was, you'll never make a right decision in the wrong mind. And you'll never make a wrong decision in your right mind. And that is a fact. Okay?